Ghost Rider Anatomy Explored, diving into the physiological details of one of Marvel's deadliest. Imagine you hear the rumbling sound of a motorcycle engine. You turn and you see this entity with a flaming skull, fully clad in leather, speeding on the vehicle towards you. You're right, it's too obvious and too dramatic for an introduction, but the overall picture it paints is one of Marvel's deadliest, funniest, and even most dramatic. The Ghost Rider. Now this guy is not someone to mess with, as this is not your ordinary superhero. He single-handedly tackled Zarathos, one of the most notorious demons, and went on to live his adventures whilst keeping him concise within his body and mind. Now, the power to control all of that is deeply rooted in his strong anatomy. In this video, we will explore the anatomical intricacies of Ghost Rider that aid him in battling demons, saving the world, and even grappling with his own inner demons. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The origin of this deadly superhero. The OG Ghost Rider first made his debut in 1972 when a helpless Johnny Blaze sold his soul to a manipulative demon named Mephisto and ended up cursed to ride all millennia with the spirit of vengeance in him. Mephisto infused the spirit of Zarathos in him to control his soul and manipulate it to do his dirty deeds, but fortunately none of it panned out the way he'd wanted. Now Johnny Boy is one of the best guys to ever exist. He had never done any harm in his life, so when the curse befell him, his inherent good nature counteracted Mephisto's plans to collect more souls by duping gullible people to enact vengeance. Johnny Blaze finds a way not to give in to the evil demon Zarathos, speaking inside his head, and protects the innocent from conspiracies of the supernatural forces. Although Johnny Blaze is the prime Ghost Rider in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are mentions of other individuals to hold down the post of Ghost Rider. In general, post-transformation, as impressive as that is, he is a pretty complex character who struggles with the duality of his powers. On one hand, he's a force for good who fights against evil and protects the innocent. On the other hand, he's also a vengeance-seeking vigilante who punishes wrongdoers with extreme brutality. What is the blazing fire surrounding the body of the Ghost Rider? Somewhat uniquely, that blazing fire that surrounds the body of Ghost Rider is actually a manifestation of his supernatural powers, specifically his control over the ethereal Hellfire. Although it's believed that the hosts of this mystical fire are the agents of Hell, in reality they're originally the emissaries of Heaven. Now, this Hellfire is a type of magical fire that comes from the very depths of the underworld and garners immense power to fuel the Ghost Rider's invincible anatomy. When Johnny Blaze transforms into Ghost Rider, his body is engulfed in the mystical flames of Hellfire, which not only grants him enhanced strength, speed, and endurance, but also serves as a protective shield against harm. This deadly entity lives, breathes, controls, and manipulates fire almost like a dragon, but cooler, because in addition, Ghost Rider can also use the flames as a weapon to burn his enemies, and can even create different weapons out of the flames, with his chain being the most commonly used. But that's not all. As we've learned from the Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance film, Ghost Rider has a variety of fire-related parlor tricks up his sleeve. He can shoot hellfire from his eyes, hands, mouth. He can even leak fire. Do you know what I'm saying? It's funny, right? And if that weren't enough, the Ghost Rider can also rain down firestorms from above, creating massive explosions and even burn underwater with its help. It's important to note that Hellfire is not just any lame ordinary fire. It is infernal pyrokinesis, which means it has the power to burn a person's soul in addition to their physical body just with a simple touch. This makes Ghost Rider an even more fearsome superhero, as he can strike his enemies not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual one as well. The guy can barbecue an entire buffet with just a tap of his finger. How strong is the Ghost Rider's physiology? Okay, so it's hardly breaking news to say that this entity can pack one hell of a punch. Ghost Rider's physiology is a really intriguing mix of supernatural and human elements, making him a fascinatingly unique and powerful character to follow through the Marvel Universe. As a host to the spirit of vengeance, he gains incredible strength, durability, and other abilities that set him apart from normal humans, and as the official handbook of the Marvel Universe dictates, Ghost Rider can lift up to 25 tons under normal circumstances. However, when the spirit takes control, there is no limit to how strong Ghost Rider can become. In fact, his strength is godlike, and he can lift far in excess of 100 tons with ease, which makes him one of the most powerful characters to exist. This guy can easily channel Thor or Hulkian levels of strength, and in addition to his strength, Ghost Rider's skin is hot and thick enough to be highly durable and resistant to almost all physical damage, be it weapons, intense cold, or any form of powerful energy. At points, he's even dueled against the Hulk and come to a total standstill, which should demonstrate just how tough Ghost Rider is. I mean, he even brought an entire tower down on Hulk just by swiveling that chain of his around, which, come on, is really cool. And if that weren't enough, Ghost Rider also inhabits the usual superhuman speed, agility, and reflexes, making him a difficult target to hit in any form of combat. He's able to move at incredible speeds, jump big distances, and perform acrobatic feats with total ease. It's very important to note, though, that Ghost Rider's powers are fueled by his rage and desire for vengeance. If Zarathos fully takes over him, he becomes too consumed by his anger and loses control, and in that case, he can become a danger to all those around him. This has been explored in various storylines where his allies have to find a way to calm him down or else risk him causing total destruction and chaos.
Look into my eye.
He also has insane regenerative abilities. This guy is unkillable. Inhabiting the spirit of vengeance allows its host quick access to immortality and agelessness, which is the very core of the Ghost Rider's powers. Apart from possessing incredible regenerative abilities that allow him to quickly heal from injuries that would be lethally fatal to normal humans, one of Ghost Rider's most notable abilities is his capacity to heal from literally any wound, no matter how severe it is, be it gunshots, burns, even decapitation, for God's sake. In fact, Ghost Rider has been shown to heal from injuries that would be fatal to other powerful superheroes, such as Wolverine, and again, even the Hulk. Although Wolverine can only regenerate his severed limbs with great pain and difficulty, Ghost Rider can grow back entire body parts in a matter of seconds, depending on the severity of the wound. This enables him to make a quick recovery and resume fighting when he's in battles. As shown in the legend of Sleepy Hollow, when the Ghost Rider's head was blown into literal pieces by Jack-O-Lantern, it took him a couple of seconds to regenerate it back. Furthermore, Ghost Rider's regenerative abilities are not limited to just physical wounds. He can also heal from mental and emotional trauma, such as the effects of mind control or psychic attacks. Now, seeing that he literally jumps back into form within seconds, there's no counterattack to this insane ability, which makes this hero incredibly resilient and seemingly frustrates all of his opponents. Obviously, the foundation of these insane regenerative powers is most likely tied to his supernatural abilities, and so the only way to put a dent in this guy is through weapons literally forged in heaven.
Feel their pain.
How does the Ghost Rider make use of Hellfire? As mentioned before, the Ghost Rider has the ability to wield Hellfire, which is a mystical flame that is said to burn the very soul of an individual instead of their body. Now, this Hellfire is the very fuel of the Ghost Rider's powers, as he can literally forge lethal weapons to use against his supernatural enemies using this mystical flame. Apart from the usual forging of bullets, knives, and firearms, the most common example of a weapon would be his iconic chain, which we have seen him wrap around his enemies' necks almost with a bit of pizzazz. Be it demons, evil spirits, or even other powerful superheroes, our Ghost Rider is capable of wreaking havoc on literally anyone with the help of the Hellfire. Another way that the Ghost Rider can make use of the Hellfire is as a means of transportation, where he is able to channel Hellfire through his motorcycle, allowing him to travel at incredible speeds and even cross over into other dimensions. At one point, we even witness him driving tractors and cars while channeling the Hellfire in order to save people. In addition, Ghost Rider can also use this Hellfire to heal himself or others using its mystical flames, which are said to have powerful restorative properties that heal wounds and injuries. However, this ability is limited to those who haven't been fully consumed by evil or corruption. Although the Hellfire is a versatile, all-rounder source of power for the Ghost Rider, he primarily uses it as a means of punishment or vengeance. The true powers of his eyes. With one look at the blazing eyes of the Ghost Rider, you'll be driven insane, and not in a good way. This unique ability is called the Penance Stare, and is definitely the magnum opus among all of Ghost Rider's abilities and powers. It allows him to make an individual feel all the pain and suffering they have inflicted upon others throughout their entire life, causing them to experience the agony and guilt of an eternity. Through the Penance of Stare, he can also evaluate if the person he is looking into is good or evil, or if they have committed any sins. He can unleash the Penance Stare with just a single glance at the person's eye, which is proven to drive its recipient right over the edge insane, or permanently blind them as the fire burns their eyeballs, or at the very worst, they end up dead. This weapon even brought down Galactus, the devourer of worlds, who was left crippled on the ground after the Ghost Rider simply looked into his eyes, making him feel every bit of suffering he had caused other countless souls for eons. It's one of the grandest scenes ever witnessed in the history of superhero cartoons. But this incredibly powerful ability does not seem to have the same effect on everyone, as there are a few individuals who seem to be immune to it, like Deadpool for example, and the Punisher, who feel absolutely no remorse for their actions. Overall, the Penance Stare is a defining aspect of the Ghost Rider's character, and it sets him apart from many other superheroes. It's a testament to his otherworldly powers and his unwavering sense of justice, as he strikes fear into the hearts of his enemies and serves a warning to those who would dare to commit evil. Whether Ghost Rider uses the stare to look into the souls of his enemies, to blind them with his light, or to intimidate and control them with a hypnotic gaze, Ghost Rider's eyes are a formidable weapon in his arsenal.
Why are you here? What do you want from me?
Does the Ghost Rider have any powers in his human form? This topic can get a little bit dicey and debatable, but in his human form, Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, doesn't possess any supernatural powers as such. He's a skilled motorcycle stuntman, but his abilities are purely physical and don't stem from any mystical or otherworldly source. To the point, Johnny Blaze as a human host is like the Ghost Rider's ultimate weakness, as he constantly tugs with the spirit of vengeance and holds him back from going full blazing wild. This in a way is also his superpower, as Johnny Blaze's massive grip on Zarathos works as a dampener and prevents him from going on an all-out vengeance spree, murdering every living being and ridding the entire universe of souls. When World War Hulk completely demolished the Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze went all weak, allowing Zarathos to take charge and practically wipe the floors with Hulk. And that's just one of the many badass examples of how immensely unstoppable and deadly this dude is. But it's worth noting that although the Ghost Rider might be fueled by the powers of the spirit of vengeance, he's really driven by Blaze's conscience and mind. It's that added empathy from Johnny's soul that still retains his human essence and really makes the Ghost Rider a true superhero, because when you think about it, without Blaze's conscience having control over his mind, Ghost Rider would only be another super powerful mega villain, needing the miracle of yet another multiverse team to show up and stop him. Can Johnny Blaze, as the Ghost Rider, control his transformation? When Johnny Blaze first transformed into the Ghost Rider, he had no control over it, but as the years went by, his ability to control it improved, and gradually he has shown an ability to control the transformation to some extent, aside from the part where he can fully control the spirit of vengeance post-transformation. While he's often depicted as transforming involuntarily when he's in the presence of evil or danger, there have been instances where he has intentionally transformed in order to use his powers to help others. In some comic book storylines, Johnny Blaze is able to transform into the Ghost Rider at will, allowing him to harness his supernatural abilities whenever he chooses, while other storylines depict his involuntary transformation and hint this is limited limited by external factors. For reference, we can go back to that particular comic book story arc of the raging battle between Ghost Rider and World War Hulk. When Johnny lost control while trying to fight Hulk, the Spirit of Vengeance refused to fight the Hulk, as he believed Hulk wasn't guilty, but it was the Illuminati who were at fault. At one point, Doctor Strange considered Johnny Blaze as a failsafe to keep the Spirit of Vengeance from wreaking havoc on the Earth's bed, because, as mentioned before, Blaze is what limits the Ghost Rider from becoming an unstoppable and uncontrollable force of nature. Overall, while Johnny Blaze may not have complete control over the transformation into the Ghost Rider, he has demonstrated an ability to harness the powers when he needs them most, and he's able to turn when the situation demands it. Can the Ghost Rider reproduce? Okay, so for this particular topic, we're gonna need a little backstory. Johnny Blaze was free from the clutches of Zarathos for a brief period of time when a soulless entity named Centurius, the herald of Mephisto, trapped Johnny Blaze in the Crystal of Souls, thus leaving the body of Ghost Rider soulless and burning out. When a flailing Zarathos used the last of his abilities to shatter the crystal, Johnny's soul was ultimately rid of the curse as it dissolved his bond with the Spirit of Vengeance, allowing him access to a normal life again. Now, with the burden of his curse vanquished, Johnny was reunited with the love of his life, Roxanne, and proposed to her. They got married and had 2 beautiful children named Emma and Craig. Apparently, they even ran a circus of their own, but of course, it was run down by many supernatural entities. Sometime later, after Johnny had come across Danny Ketch, the other unique Ghost Rider, his children passed away as consequence of a supernatural attack. Given his past, no matter how hard he tried to run from it, eventually his past was going to catch up to him, and unfortunately it was his children who got in the way of the crossfire. Ultimately, it remains unclear and debatable if the Ghost Rider can reproduce in the biological way, as he's inhibited by the Spirit of Vengeance and sort of doesn't really have all the parts that you need. Not to mention the part where the blazing Hellfire can turn everyone into ashes. But it's also worth noting that the Ghost Rider comics have showcased a certain story arc where Ghost Rider is trying to rush a wounded child to the nearest hospital in an effort to save him, and to do that he carries the child, which implies that if our flaming skeletal hero ever attempted to hold a baby or hug a child, he wouldn't be hurting them at all. I suppose overall, to address the main question, yes, Ghost Rider can procreate, but only in his human form. Is it true that the Ghost Rider can smell sin? So the tricky thing with sin is that without them, human beings would be incapable of feeling any form of emotion, and ultimately that would pave their paths to becoming mindless zombies. Sins are a significant part of who we are as humans and allow us to differ our lookouts from right to wrong. Now, uniquely enough, the Ghost Rider has a nose for sniffing out evil and sin. If you put money on Wolverine being the best mutant tracker in the Marvel Universe, Ghost Rider is really going to give you a good run for your money. And if that weren't enough, Ghost Rider can also consume sins and has effectively purged individuals and even entire populations of their sins, leaving them to become mere zombies without any individual agency of their own. This blazing hero can even smell the guilt of a sin that has been committed by someone, which is innately cool. Overall, we should definitely remember that the Ghost Rider's entire core, his being, is founded upon vengeance on sinners, so of course the ability to detect sins makes pure sense. Can the Ghost Rider change his size and form? The Ghost Rider's ability to skyrocket his form and size was first revealed in the first issue of Uncanny Avengers when he fought Thor, the god of thunder, and shook us to the very core by turning into a gigantic version of Ghost Rider, spewing volcanic quantities of fire right in Thor's face. As mentioned before, the mystical flame of Hellfire has the ability to manipulate matter, and as witnessed, it definitely extends its reach to the host's own body. So if that theory is applied, the possibility of a tiny Ghost Rider can also be depicted in the vicinity. Unleashing that adorable sized flame head on the road with his little motorcycle would definitely steal Ant-Man's thunder. In another story arc, when another version of Ghost Rider battled Mephisto in Hell, she grew up to half a mile tall to vanquish the evil manipulative demon. So to answer your question in short, why yes, our vengeful, fire-blazed, leather-clad skeletal motorbike rider can definitely pull a Gulliver on his opponents. Why does the Ghost Rider never get tired? Ghost Rider's supernatural abilities, such as his superhuman strength, durability, and the ability to generate and control Hellfire, are not limited by the same physical constraints as a normal human. As a result, Ghost Rider does not tire in the same way that a human would, because his body is incapable of producing any fatigue toxins whilst partaking in physical activities of any form, resulting in superhuman stamina that would outlast anybody in a fight. But it's worth mentioning that the host of Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, has shown signs of severe mental fatigue, thus implying that he eventually loses control over the spirit of vengeance if the fight is stretched out for a long time. But that's not necessarily a weakness of any form, as the spirit of vengeance can never flame out. Overall, the Ghost Rider's powers are often portrayed as being fueled by the mystical forces that empower him, rather than by physical stamina or endurance. Therefore, he can simply carry on without experiencing fatigue or exhaustion. The only way to limit him would be through certain mystical forces like holy water or symbols of faith, or certain mystical weapons which can weaken Ghost Rider's Hellfire, thus negating his powers entirely. Just how fast is the Ghost Rider? Ghost Rider's speed is often portrayed as being incredibly fast and even beyond human limits. As the Ghost Rider, he has the ability to move at incredible speeds that enable him to catch up to and overtake speeding vehicles with ease, pushing them to exceed a level of speed which would only make those vehicles resemble a fiery blur to the mortal eye. It's very important to note that the Ghost Rider's speed limits are not restrained to his physical movements, but in turn extended to his fiery Hellfire-infused motorcycle. The speed comes with a side serve of heightened reflexes which allow him to pull off mind-thwarting stunts with ease. In addition to the speed, the Ghost Rider's movements aren't bound by the limitations of his physical body. As a result, he possesses enhanced dexterity and coordination, which allow him to perform feats of accuracy and precision that would be impossible for you or me. The Ghost Rider can also move with great agility, which allows him to dodge attacks and move quickly around obstacles. One notable example of Ghost Rider's speed and agility is seen in an Avengers story arc when Johnny Blaze had given up control and the spirit of vengeance was offered a front seat, where he takes on an entire team of Earth's mightiest heroes. During his showdown with Thor, he's able to dodge the God of Thunder's hammer and even outraces it on his motorcycle. He then got hold of Mjolnir whilst flying and rode it back to thrust it right into Thor's face along with his motorcycle, demonstrating his incredible speed and agility as well as a diabolical sense of humour. The exact speed of the Ghost Rider isn't easily quantifiable, as it varies depending on the context and the specific story being told. However, it is clear that his relentless speed is a crucial aspect of his fighting style and his ability to pursue and apprehend villains. What prevents him from entering holy places? So any holy item is the Ghost Rider's kryptonite, irrespective of which universe or version it is. The sole reason behind this is the possession of the demon Zarathos over Johnny Blaze's soul. In the ultimate Marvel world of Earth 1610, Ghost Rider is shown to have a specific vulnerability, unlike most other Ghost Riders, where if he enters a blessed holy place or a church, he immediately transforms back into Johnny Blaze. In this universe, Blaze sold his soul to Mephisto, the devil, in order to protect the love of his life after a biker gang murdered him. He then returned as Ghost Rider to get revenge and kill all the rich and powerful members of the biker gang one by one. During the battle, when the last living person ran into a church, Ghost Rider straightaway transforms back into Johnny Blaze. This is different from other Ghost Riders who are vulnerable to holy items instead of holy places. For all Ghost Riders in general, the presence of holy symbols or places can weaken or repel them, preventing them from using their full range of powers within that vicinity. This vulnerability to holy items or places is a common weakness for supernatural beings, and it's a well-established trope in popular culture, which is heavily reflected throughout Ghost Rider's adventures.
I was never afraid of you.
Is the Ghost Rider technically immortal? As mentioned before, one of the many miracles of the mystical Hellfire is agelessness and immortality. From a theological perspective, the Ghost Rider possesses a form of immortality that is tied to the spirit of vengeance. As long as there is a need for vengeance, the spirit will continue to seek out and possess new hosts to carry out its missions. This means that while the physical body of a particular Ghost Rider host may be destroyed, the spirit will simply move on to a new host, effectively granting the Ghost Rider a form of immortality. However, it's important to note that this immortality is tied to the mission of vengeance, so if there is no longer a need for the spirit to exact vengeance, it may no longer exist, or may move on to a new purpose. But in general, Ghost Riders are impervious to harm from anything outside of heaven, and regenerate immediately if any body part is destroyed. They don't age, and hence in any case of dismemberment, the Ghost Rider can simply piece themselves back together using those insane regenerative abilities, looking as young as the day they were possessed by the spirit of vengeance. In the Heavens on Fire story arc, Johnny Blaze clearly states that it was God who created the Ghost Riders, and thus only God has the power to destroy them, meaning that they are immortal unless God decides otherwise. In reference to that same story arc, it's also implied that although it is difficult to permanently put down this blazing leather-clad skeletal superhero, it's definitely not impossible, even if the comic book arcs define this deadly superhero as invincible. It is incredibly difficult to kill Ghost Rider due to the supernatural nature of his powers. He can't be harmed by conventional physical means, so one has to resort to divine, demonic, or mystical attacks if they want to defeat him. Ghost Rider has been shown to be vulnerable to these types of attacks in Marvel Comics. For instance, in the Siege of Darkness event, Ghost Rider was killed by the demon Zarathos, who absorbed Ghost Rider's essence. In another encounter, Blade, with his powers, greatly augmented and absorbed Johnny Blaze's powers, which subsequently killed him. To kill Ghost Rider, one needs to find a way to separate the supernatural force of the Ghost Rider from its human host, which is a difficult proposition for any being that doesn't possess the sufficient divine powers. However, artifacts imbued with mystical energy, such as the Justiciar sword, may be effective in separating Ghost Rider from its host, or killing the Ghost Rider outright. Additionally, angelic forces have been shown to kill Ghost Rider, as seen in Jason Owen's run on the title, in which an angel named Zadkiel used Danny Ketch as an instrument to steal the power of Ghost Riders all over the world, resulting in the death of the host in most cases. Overall, mostly mystical weapons forged in heaven can only put a dent in the Ghost Rider's existence, as the spirit of vengeance has truly originated from a divine source of power, so it's only that power that can vanquish it. Ghost Rider had all the potential to become an antagonist, but it's because of his well-executed physiology that he's become one of Marvel's finest creations, and honestly a top-notch fun one too. The very core of Ghost Rider being so powerful, so diabolical, and so famous is the foundation of his insanely unique anatomy, and with this, we come to the end of our video. We hope you liked it, and please don't forget to tell us your opinions on our favourite fiery skeletal superhero in the comment box below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Have a good one and be safe. Thank you everyone.